Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. Today we are celebrating Bill Wyman, bass player of the Rolling Stones, his 88th birthday. He was always the oldest member of the band. And yeah, I know he hasn't been a member of the Stones since Steel Wheels, 89, 1990 Urban Jungle Tour. But yeah, to me, he's always the bass player of the Rolling Stones. Pretty amazing, actually. The Stones have actually been going now 30 years since Bill Wyman hasn't been in the band. 30 years since Voodoo Lounge, 1994, the first tour without Bill Wyman. So they're actually going longer without Bill Wyman than with Bill Wyman. But of course, album-wise, they haven't done a huge amount since Bill Wyman left. But Bill Wyman, on the other hand, I love Bill Wyman. I just think he is the coolest guy. He always gave really good interviews. He's always honest. He doesn't come off as the big rock star. And, he left the band because he wanted to do other things. And he has. And you're going to see. I have 34 Bill Wyman albums. You're going to see him. And books. He has done a lot since he left the Rolling Stones. That's why he left the Stones. So I take my hat off to Bill Wyman, and let's celebrate his 88th birthday in style. We're going to go through his career. Now, the fun thing for me, gotta say, is that I've been following his solo career really since it started in 1974 with Monkey Grip. So when he releases an album, I pick it up. Maybe not that year, maybe the following year. But I've picked up his albums in the same order as when he released them. So it's been a really good way to follow his career. No backtracking for me. So let's go through his solo career. It's interesting and, in my opinion, really good. A lot of people, gave Bill Wyman a lot of stick, say he's not that good. Doesn't sound like the Stones. I hate that. Of course it doesn't sound like the Stones. It's Bill Wyman. But his music does not sound like the Stones. So his first album was this one, 1974, on Rolling Stones Records. And that is, of course, Monkey Grip. And I thought this album was a blast, and I still think it's a blast. There's the inner sleeve. And yeah, it was on Rolling Stones Records. Had a really cool label right there with the Monkey Grip on it. I just think it was a really fun record, and when I think about how much I've listened to each of the Bill Wyman albums, this is always near the top. It's just a fun album. That's the track listing right there. So, I totally dig this album a lot. Produced by Bill Wyman, 1974, his very first solo record was Monkey Grip. The second one he put out was in 1976. Oh, by the way, that album did okay. It actually charted both in the U.S. and the U.K. In the U.S., it hit 99. The U.K., it actually did better. It hit 39 in the U.K. So Bill Wyman did videos on it, which we're going to talk about later. 1976, his second solo record, a little glam looking right there, Bill. And that was called Stone Alone. And I didn't think this one was nearly as good as Monkey Grip, but it was still pretty good. And it was again on Rolling Stones Records. He always had guests, Joe Walsh played, Danny Korchmar, Ronnie Wood, Dallas Taylor. That's the inner sleeve. Looking mighty glam, which was around that time in 1976. This one didn't do quite as well. It hit 166 in the U.S. and did not chart in the U.K., considering Monkey Grip did pretty good. This one didn't. But, it's got some interesting things on this. Some covers, Soul Satisfier, That Patchy Woman was a single. Peanut Butter Time is interesting. Does like a Louis Armstrong type thing with What's the Point? It's fun. Bill Wyman is Bill Wyman. I do have some singles which I'll show you afterwards. Now we skip ahead to 1981, the year of Tattoo You. And lo and behold, Bill Wyman gets himself a big hit single. Not in the U.S. it didn't chart, but in the U.K. it peaked at number 14. And he always liked to say that he had the biggest hit single out of any solo Stones. And I guess he's right to a certain extent. There it is, CC Jesus un Rockstar. If you're French, correct my pronunciation. But there is the 45. And this is a really cool tune. I love it. I mean, it's a little bit dated with that 80s sound and the percussion, you know, the electronic percussion. But yeah, it's a fun song. And there's a video for it, which we'll talk about as well. And this was a genuine hit for Bill Wyman. CC Jesus and Rockstar. I don't know. Here is a 12-inch of it. And if that's not enough, here's another 12-inch of it, which was like a promo. So a little bit different artwork there. But yeah, it was a really fun song. And I remember, I believe on the 81 tour, every once in a while, Mick Jagger would introduce Bill Wyman and say, "Zeus and Rockstar, Bill Wyman." The album that it came from was a self-titled album, also came out in 1981, and that was this guy called Bill Wyman. Interesting artwork because he was really getting into astronomy. And that's what that one looks like. And it was on A&M right there. And the album did pretty good. Did not chart again in the US, but it did hit 55 in the UK. So that's, boy David, I hope the stuff don't fall, right? That album actually also came as a limited edition picture disc, which is way cool because the graphics were really good. Now, I got to tell you something. I like this album. Zeus and Rockstar, of course, was the big hit. The follow-up single was A New Fashion, which I have right there. That's an import 45. And that one actually also charted, hit number 37 in the UK. Nothing in the US, so unfortunately. Come Back Suzanne was another single from that album. That's That Guy. That did not chart. There was, I believe, another single somewhere called Visions. And that's a song from this album, the Bill Wyman album, and I love it. It's like a ballad. I'm pretty sure Chris Rea plays on it, if my memory serves me correctly. And it's a beautiful, kind of electronic kind of ballad. And little story that I will tell you, which is true, is at my engagement party, I had the DJ play that song, Visions. Of course, nobody in the world knew what the hell it was. And me and my wife, fiancé at the time, slow danced to Bill Wyman Visions at our engagement party. And a couple people came up to me and said, "That was a nice song. What the hell is that?" And I'm like, "Bill Wyman." They're like, "Get out of here." I'm like, "Yeah." So there's a little side note for Visions. And here's a promo single of Apache Woman, which was from the Stone Alone album. So let's keep going. Bill Wyman's solo career to his third album, and the one that did the best, the Bill Wyman album. Now he kind of takes a detour, does a really cool project at the time, which was Willie and the Poor Boys. And this was Bill Wyman with a bunch of special guests. He even did a video. Ringo Starr's in the video. Plays like a janitor. There's the lineup. And another really good album. This is just a fun, enjoyable album. A lot of covers and stuff like that. There's a great version of These Arms of Mine, which was a 45, wasn't a hit. There it is, and that's got the great Paul Rodgers on vocals and Jimmy Page on guitar. That is from Willie and the Poor Boys. And it's a really good album. It's just so enjoyable. And I still listen to it, and actually got it on CD like a couple of weeks ago, where I found it for a good bargain. So there's Bill Wyman's solo career right there. Then he decides, about 10 years later, he does another solo album, which is called Stuff. And How the Mighty Have Fallen. He can't get this thing released in the US or the UK. He has it put out in Japan. And that's the CD right there, Japanese import of Bill Wyman Stuff. And it's just okay. The best thing on here was Blue Murder Lies is really good. And This Strange Effect is a great cover. But not a great album from Bill Wyman, gotta say. So let's stick that one right over there so we can see it. That's Stuff from Bill Wyman. that's kind of the end of his solo career for quite a while, because that was 1995. He couldn't get signed. We're going to talk about compilations afterwards. He does another detour, kind of like Willie and the Poor Boys, and he forms Bill Wyman and the Rhythm Kings. And they are very prolific, which you are about to find out. The Rhythm Kings have a rotating lineup, all different people. Eric Clapton will play with them, Frampton, Paul Carrack, Albert Lee. I'm looking at the hype sticker right here. This was the first one, and it came out in 1998 called Strutting Our Stuff. There's my dog barking. But these are really enjoyable. I mean, I was shocked how much I loved them. This particular one, the first one, does a really great cover of Melody, and he does a cover of his own track, Stuff, that came from that previous album 3 years earlier. But they're really fun, really enjoyable albums. Lots of covers. He sings some songs, some of the songs he doesn't sing. They just sound like they're having a great time, and it's just really enjoyable. It's nothing like the Rolling Stones, and that's the point. A year later, 1999, he puts out the next one called Any Way the Wind Blows. And I'm going to repeat myself. They're just really enjoyable. This one he covers every 60 seconds, which was previously on Stone Alone. He does Spooky. You get your money's worth. There's like 16 songs on this thing. It's just Strutting Our Stuff is on there. It's just really, really enjoyable. It came on Velvel, and really good packaging and really good artwork. And this was the second Rhythm Kings album. Again, Any Way the Wind Blows, which came out in 1999. Bill Wyman at this point is nothing if not prolific. 1988, 1999, next year's 2000, puts out another one called Groovin. Gary Brooker, Georgie Fame, Martin Taylor, Albert Lee, and another fine release again. And this does a cover of the Rascals' Groovin, of course, the title track. They're just really fun listens. The kind of stuff you put on, and it makes you put a big smile on your face, and you're like, I take my hat off to this guy. He just is doing what he wants to do, and it's just so damn enjoyable. That's not enough, right? 2000, the following year's 2001, he puts out another Rhythm Kings album, and this one's a double album, and it's called Double Bill. Cute name. Double Bill. It's a double album. Double Bill. Bill Wyman. You get it. That's what it looks like. 2 CDs. And just chock-a-block full of more enjoyable music. That's what it looks like. There's your track listing. So this was in 2001. Now, Bill Wyman and the Rhythm Kings starting to get on a little roll. Not in the U.S. necessarily, but over in the U.K. Because Groovin, that one, actually charted in the UK at 52. This Double Bill charts at 88. Not the highest position, but he's charting, which is pretty cool. Now he takes a 3-year break. It's 2004, puts out another Rhythm Kings album, and this one's called Just for a Thrill. And same idea. Just enjoyable, fun music that puts a smile on your face. They play live, and just covers and original. This one had a cover of Taxman that was okay. Again, just really kind of enjoyable. It doesn't chart though, unfortunately. And that's 2004. Bill Wyman takes a break from the Rhythm Kings. That's what he kind of does. And it's not for another 11 years, 2015, that Bill Wyman decides, I'm going to put out another solo record. And he does. And it's called Back to Basics. Cute name, Back to Basics, as in bass. There's his bass. And that's the graphics of it. There's what he is. And Bill Wyman also, he's older, but he's himself. He's happy in his own skin. You see what he looks like, And there's a CD. And you know what? It was okay. I actually had a lot of hopes for this because it was like 11 years between the Rhythm Kings album, and it was his first solo record since like 1995. So, but it didn't grab me. He does another version of Stuff, Can't Get Enough. So that's another, he loves that track, and he wants to get it out there. But it was fine. His voice getting a little deeper. He does another version of 17, which originally was on the self-titled record. I'll Pull You Through. There's another version of that. So it's a fine record. It's okay. You know, I enjoyed it. What and How and If and When and Why. That was the opening track, I remember. So Back to Basics from Bill Wyman. Didn't chart, but that's okay. He's doing his thing, and that was in 2015. And that is the last original album by Bill until this year with Drive My Car, which I can't show you because even though I have everything Bill Wyman's ever done, I haven't picked up the new album yet. But I have heard it, and it sounds real enjoyable. I like his deep, throaty voice, and I will pick it up. Honestly, I'm waiting for it to go on sale on Amazon, and it never has. So, and I can't find it retail. So, that's what I'm waiting on. So there is Bill Wyman's solo career. Now, Bill has done an amazing job of curating his solo career. There are umpteen compilations, of which I have a lot of them. So let's show them to you. This is a really nice one that came on Edsel. This is Bill Wyman, White Lightning, the solo box. And this is a box set of the first 4 albums. Monkey Grip, Stone Alone, the self-titled, and Stuff. And you're finally getting Stuff, because that was really hard to find. And it's got all the albums individually and individual CDs, which I love, plus bonus tracks. And you get a DVD with an interview and promo videos and some BBC clips right there on the DVD. This is a wonderful package if you want the early Bill Wyman stuff. And it's a clamshell case, and it's got a really nice, thick booklet. I mean, look at this. So you get liner notes on each album. There's the promo stuff from Monkey Grip. There's Stone Alone, and there's the self-titled, and there's Stuff, and then what's on the DVD. And really great liner notes. They really did a spectacular job on this box set. And then each of the albums, you know, look like the albums that I already showed you in the real albums. So there you have it. And there's the DVD. This, I don't know if this is still out there. Can you find it? I'm not sure. I picked it up when it first came out. But there's the hype sticker. This is a really good way to get into that early Bill Wyman. If you are so inclined, I definitely think it's a good idea. Now, here's another solo compendium. This is called the Bill Wyman Compendium Complete Solo Recordings. And it comes in an outer slipcase. And what you get here are the first 3 albums, Monkey Grip, Stone Alone, and the self-titled, spread over 2 CDs, plus a bunch of bonus tracks, some outtakes. Again, a really, really nice collection. So, you know, there are ways to get those first 3 albums if you want it. And this one also has a really nice booklet, tons of liner notes, and it looks like that. And it's also pushing the Rhythm Kings in the back, you know, which we're going to talk about. So there's another Bill Wyman solo collection. Sorry about my dog. Let's keep going. How about this compilation? We're not done yet, folks. Here's one called Bill Wyman and Stone Alone, the Solo Anthology, 1974 to 2002, which means it is also covering not just Bill Wyman's solo, but it's also covering the Rhythm Kings and Willie and the Poor Boys. So this is excellent. You get a good compilation of the best tracks from the first 4 albums, and then a good selection of stuff from Willie and the Poor Boys and the Rhythm Kings, all on 2 CDs with one of those booklets that opens up. So let's stick this one over yonder. How about over there? We can do that. Then, here's another one. CC, Jesus, und Rockstar, the best of Bill Wyman and Bill Wyman's Rhythm Kings. Another deluxe 2 CD set in a slipcase. And this one, again, it works backwards. It starts with the title track, CC, Jesus, and Rockstar, and then works its way down to stuff from Monkey Grip, and then you got some Best of Rhythm Kings and some Willie and the Poor Boys, similar to the other one, and you take it out, it looks like this. So like I had said to you, there is no shortage of, Bill Wyman compilations, that's for sure. So let's stick that one over there as well. Now, there's also some other CDs, which we're going to talk about. Here's Bill Wyman's Rhythm Kings Live. There are a lot of Bill Wyman Rhythm Kings live albums. This is one of them. And then here's a collection called Jump, Jive, and Wail, the very best of the Bootleg Kings, which is the Rhythm Kings. He liked to release like official bootleg stuff of the Rhythm Kings. And this is like a best of 2 CD set of live Rhythm Kings. So Bill Wyman was not shy about releasing this stuff, and did a really good job. These are really, really nice compilations that I definitely recommend you. You don't want to get all the Rhythm Kings albums, you can get these compilations and live ones. And there's more. You said there's more. There is more. Here's Willie and the Poor Boys CD, which is that album right there. We'll stick that there. And then there's Willie and the Poor Boys live CD called Tear It Up on Ripple. Ripple is Bill Wyman's label. And we can put that there. And if that's not enough, there's a compilation just of Willie and the Poor Boys called Poor Boy Boogie. And what is this? Well, it's 2 CDs of that. The first CD is the Willie and the Poor Boys album, and the second CD is the live album, which is Tear It Up. So why not? Compilation. Now, Bill's also done other cool CDs. Did you ever see this one? He does compilations. Bill Wyman's Blues Odyssey, which is the history of the blues, because Bill is like a musicologist. And this is an amazing 2 CD compilation of the history of the blues. And you're like, well, that kind of looks familiar. Well, it should, because that is the musical soundtrack of this amazing book that he did, which is this huge hardcover book on DK. Magnificent book of the history of the blues done by Bill Wyman. And not only did he do the book, but he did that soundtrack. Pretty cool, right? Stick that there for now. He did another really cool CD here called Bill Wyman's Blues Odyssey, Rude Dudes, Not in Front of Children. And what this is just when you think rock and roll could be really randy, is that the word? Well, the blues can too. And these are dirty, sexual, old blues tracks that he put together on Document Records. So Bill Wyman does some really cool things. That's why I take my hat off to the guy for leaving the Stones. He wanted to do things, and he's a man of his word. He has done a lot, as you can see, and there's more to come. There's some DVDs of Bill Wyman's Rhythm Kings live in concert. And here's another one, Bill Wyman's Rhythm Kings, Let the Good Times Roll, includes 2 live concerts on this DVD. So not only has a lot of recordings, he puts out DVDs of his stuff. And they're fun. A little hokey sometimes, but good. What else? Here's a video VHS from his hits from the self-titled album. The 3 videos, CC, Jésus and Rockstar, A New Fashion, Come Back Suzanne. And then he actually had done a movie about his life called Digital Dreams, The Life and Dreams of Bill Wyman. And that was kind of a neat movie. It had James Coburn in it. And I liked it. It actually showed him working on like one of the first Apple computers, because Bill was always into technology before like anybody else. And then there's some other videos I have, the Blues Odyssey and another Willie and the Poor Boys video. There's just a lot of stuff. And then as far as books goes, well, I showed you Blues Odyssey. If that's not enough, he did the book on the Stones, Stone Alone. I love this book. A lot of people found it dry because he goes in statistics, how much money they made, and he had everything in his computer, so he was like the archivist of the Stones. Well, I love that kind of detail. For me, that's amazing. The only disappointing thing about this book, to me, was that it ended in the 60s. Didn't even go into the 70s. And this book is almost 600 pages. 600 pages just covering the 60s. That's how precise Bill Wyman was. I think it's a tremendous book. But I was disappointed it ended in the 60s. Well, that's where this one came along. This monstrous, gorgeous book also on DK. Rolling with the Stones. And this is, again, the history of the Stones. Not quite as dry because you got these amazing graphics. This may be the most fun read on the Stones because you get amazing graphics, really accurate information because it's Bill Wyman, the archivist, the records, the albums, the singles, chart positions, the tours, and again, unfortunately, most of it is still, here's the 60s, there's Brian Jones, there's Altamont and Hyde Park, and we're at towards the end of the book, and then it does go into after that, but very, most of the book here we're up to, here's the 70s, and we're up to page 379, and we're first hitting Brown Sugar, and then the rest of the book is very brief. So I would have loved more from, really deep into the 70s and the 80s, but hasn't really happened. This is another cool book, The Stones, A History in Cartoons, Bill Wyman. These are not cartoons, obviously, that he did, but I guess, from his archives, he was collecting when the Stones were in cartoons. And that's a really cool book as well. And Bill Wyman has other books as well. So he has done quite a lot. And, do I wish he would have stayed in the Stones? Sure. But we also have all of this music to enjoy. And most importantly, he has to stay creative. And the Stones were never going to do his music. You can kind of understand why. When you listen to his solo stuff, it's definitely not really Rolling Stones-like. It's not at all Stones-like. So I understand why the Stones didn't do his material. But it is what it is. It's a shame that he couldn't stay with the Stones and do this stuff, but that's the way it is. Anyway, happy birthday, 88th birthday to Bill Wyman. I love your solo career. Is it like the Stones? No. Is it all great? No. But it's always interesting. And that's what you want in music. I will pick up the new one, Drive My Car, hopefully by the end of the year. Amazon, you ever going to put that thing on sale so I can pick it up? Apparently not. Whatever. Anyway, as always, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your loyalty. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe and go to playlists. And there's a whole playlist on Rolling Stones. There's a lot of Rolling Stones videos. I did a discography of Ronnie Wood and Mick Jagger's solo career, and Keith as well. So Bill Wyman, well deserved, as you can see. So let me know what you think. You like Bill Wyman? He's a good guy. Gotta like him. Anyway, as always, thanks so much. I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show. And again, Bill, I don't know if you're ever going to see my video. Probably not. But if you do, thanks for your music and your videos, and happy birthday.